I've got a few friends who are thinking about going through Startup Weekend, both in New Zealand and overseas. I do kind of get questions about it a little bit, so I thought I'd go through kind of some of the things, well, just while they're fresh in my mind, and see if they're of value to some of the other people thinking about getting involved. Depending on the Startup Weekend that you go to, certainly the ones in Auckland use a tool called a Kanban board. So this is used in lean manufacturing, which is a kind of Japanese process improvement process. It's used in the lean startup movement, which is an application of that to entrepreneurship, and it's used in a lot of kind of to-do list, tools, productivity methodologies. So a Kanban board is a large board that you put pieces of work onto the board, and then you move them through stages, and the stages that they're in tell you and everyone else where that piece of work is at. So it's like a to-do list, but instead of a to-do list where you have a thing and then you tick it off, so it's kind of binary, it's either there on the list or it's off the list and it's done. That's the only two statuses. A Kanban board can have all sorts of things, like idea generation, preparing, ready to execute, in progress, in validation and checking, in testing, in deployment, live, or any number of steps in between. So you can break any type of process work into a Kanban board and then move pieces of work through the process. And it's a really interesting, it's actually an Eastern philosophy or a kind of a Japanese mindset, which says things don't have like just a binary status of to do or done. They exist and then they move through and they flow through a process. And actually it maps quite well to the way that real work happens. So use the Kanban board. If you don't understand it, then ask someone else in the team. The very, very simple version of a Kanban board is just a bucket for things to do, a bucket for things that are in progress, and a bucket for things that are done. So actually, you're not going to be moving them through too much of a kind of thin slice status, but it's useful because you'll know what you're working on because you'll be able to glance up at the Kanban board and go, okay, this is the progress we're making. The rest of your team will be able to stay in sync because you know who's working on what and where you're up to. And actually the rest of the room, so people walking past, other teams, mentors, the organising crew, everyone will be able to see how you're flowing through. So it's a really good status board for, and that's true in like your daily work actually. The more that you can make progress visual, then the more that people can get involved, get behind it and help each other out, which is kind of the point.